So first, let's take a look at the source code of our SSP/authentication package. So let's go to our course materials. And let's take a look at that. So there is a lot of code here, but the main interesting, like the most important thing are two functions. So SP LSA mode initialize gets called by LSA if LSA interprets our DLL as SSP, okay? And when this is called, then we run our go function, okay, as a separate thread. And we also initialize this structure of pointers, which is here. And this table or this structure is actually initialized here. So this structure contains, all the pointers that are needed for our security package or provider. Okay, and they are actually defined here. So as you can see, they hold almost no code. It is pretty similar to our port monitor or DLL. We have few exceptions. So for example, get info provides some structure back to the LSA. But in most cases, these functions are just returning 0. And if LSA tries to initialize that DLL as authentication package, then it will call this function, LSA app init initialize package. And we do the same thing here. So we create a thread running our go function, and then we continue with initialization. And our go function is pretty standard. So we run our implant. Okay, so that's our code. Now let's take a look at where is the configuration of LSA in registry. So we have to go to a local machine, system, current control set, control, and LSA. And there are two variables there. Authentication packages, okay, which is multi-string, and it is important, but you will see in a moment why it is important. And also security packages. So if you want to register your DLL as authentication package, you add your DLL name to that value. And if it should be a SSP, then you add your name of your DLL into this value, security packages. Okay, so let's do that. Let's first compile our code. So we go to RTO pers02 authentication package. We're gonna compile. Then we need to copy our SSP DLL to Windows System 32 directory. And then we need to add our security package to authentication package to the appropriate value in registry. So when you're dealing with multi-string types in registry, so you have to use 0 byte in between the strings. Okay, so when you run it and you hit refresh here, we get that list. Okay, And basically that's it. So our persistence is ready right now. So we can test it out by just rebooting our machine. So now let's relog on. And let's see if our implant is running. So we scroll down, and yep, our implant is running as anti-authority system. We can double click and check the modules loaded. So here is our DLL, okay, loaded, which fired up our implant, which launched our notepad. So that's first technique. And the second one, so registering as SSP, we can do that by using reg tool. So first let's remove our DLL from authentication packages value, and we can verify if it's actually holding true. MSV1 is the default authentication package for Windows, which handles, local user authentication. So now let's query security packages. So the list is empty, but it's still multi string type. So we set up our SSP AP DLL, okay, and we're all set. So again, let's reboot the machine and see if it worked as well. So we relog on. And let's see if it works. So fingers crossed. And again, we have successfully persisted the reboot. This time using SSP functionality of LSA. So, yep, we can actually terminate that. So yeah, that's how you can use LSA authentication packages and security support providers to persist on a Windows machine. So now let's clean up before we move on to LSA password filters. So we need to set security packages back to the original. Let's double check. We don't want to mess it up. Looks good. And we have to remove Windows, our SSP AP DLL. And access is denied because the DLL is used by LSAs, so we can unload it from live process, which is basically not a safe operation, but we are going to restart our machine before we do next exercise. So now we can remove that, and that's it. Let's move on to password filters.